and welcome to my community on Afrocentric Television Channel 15.8. This is the station that focuses on the Africans in diaspora, especially here in Houston. This is our home city, so we have to be proud of it. Anyway, my name is Kola, and on today's episode, we will be discussing on home buying. Home buying, as you know, is something you need to do as a man. As a matter of fact, it's kind of like a measure for you, perhaps for investment purposes, for maybe just to put a shield, shelter over your head, or it could be for any other reasons that you may deem it fit. However, to do that today is one of our let me see. I've known her for a long while, but we never talked. There was this day I just had to follow her on Facebook just because I love everything about what she does and how she presents herself and her business, and then her husband. Oh my God, I'm still doing the introduction and you're already laughing. This is still my introduction. Okay. But anyway, she's already laughing, so I'm gonna bring her on. Her name is Nike Toyin Ojo. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
Thank you for gracing our studio. And thank you for is it Christmas or Thanksgiving edition that you did? It was Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. That went a long way for our studio as well. Welcome to the show once again.
Thank you.
And how's Mr. Ralph?
He's doing well.
I call him my mentor.
Oh, well.
Yeah, and I told him the last time I saw him that I need him to just take me along, in this real estate business. I love the way he handles his business. It's all about it. He wants people to succeed at it, and as such, he's willing to assist, which is the philanthropic part of what Discovered Home does. And by the way, they are the owners of Discovered Homes. Discovered Homes is a one-stop shop. I will call it that, yes. Right? Because I've been to your office before. I never came to the old one, but now you moved to the Beneventure.
Yes,
one.
Beneventure.
You do from loan origination to processing to finding your home,
right.
To processing the loan and to getting pre-approval to even approving the loan for you, and also be your realtor or assign a realtor to work with you within Discovered Homes and the whole nine. You have everything set up. So, and that takes a lot out of the headache of home buying. I will tell you that much. I do not like that first experience. So give us briefly what you do. This is me talking from my perspective, but please let our audience, our viewers, know what Discovered Homes is about.
Okay, so what we usually tell people that are interested in buying is, one, you have to have the willingness that you want to buy a house, because home purchase could be pretty stressful. But what we try to do is, as much as possible, to take the stress out of you as a client. The first thing we always advise people to do is, complete the loan application. Let's take a look at your credit. Some people may think, oh, my credit is good, and then when we pull the credit, it's not what they think it is. So we want to look at your credit, make sure that, with the credits that you have, that you're going to be able to buy a house. Then we look at your income, we look at how much money you have saved up. And if you don't have enough money, we'll tell you, ways to go around it.
If there are programs.
With the approval process. And if you can qualify for a program, we'll let you know that, okay, this is what is available to you and for you to take advantage of. So we guide the buyers from start to finish. We hold them by the hand. We don't leave them alone. So once we know that this is how much you're qualified for, that's when you can now start going out to shop. We always say you need to fall in love with the loan before you fall in love with the house.
Right.
Most people would go the other way around.
They want to do the house first.
See the house, see that $500,000 home. It's so pretty. I want to live in. But the income you make is not even sufficient.
Because the debt to income ratio is
high. So you want to make sure that you know what you're qualified for before you start going out there looking for a home. And once you do that, and then the experience is going to be pretty pleasant, and then it's not going to be stressful. But when you look at the houses first before looking for a loan, that's when it's really, really stressful.
Because now you found a house you want, and it's 500,000. So to say, and then what you qualify for was only $200,000, and that means, except of course you can
Bring
the $300,000 in cash, you definitely can get what you want. However, and everything is based off of what you can afford to pay based on the debts you already
your
incurred.
income, your
Right.
liabilities. Some have maybe huge car loans, huge student loans. Those are the things that would stop them from qualifying for a house.
So, but what if they have a deferred student loan?
Okay, so now if the student loan is deferred, it is still factored into the loan. The only time it is not factored in is if they are getting a VA loan for veterans.
For veterans.
And it is deferred for at least a year from the date of closing.
But they're still gonna have to.
Right. So, but if it's an FHA loan or if it's a conventional loan, they will still count that. It's still going to be included in the debt to income ratio. So what they will use is 1% of the balance on the loan. So sometimes we put credit and the payment shows zero because it's in forbearance or it's deferred. But once the loan is being processed, the lender is going to use 1% of the student loan as your monthly payment.
Let's assume we have no idea what we're talking about. There, you just mentioned 3 different kinds of loans now. We have the VA loans, we have the FHA, and we have the conventional.
Right.
Can you tell us briefly the differences between all these 3?
Okay, so the VA loans are for veterans.
Strictly for veterans.
Strictly for veterans. And it's zero down. They don't have to bring any money to closing. I'm sorry, I'll take it back. They don't have
For
to bring
down
any for down
payments,
payment.
yeah.
Okay, so a zero down payment is totally 100% financing, and there's no mortgage insurance, monthly mortgage insurance on VA loans. The rates are pretty good. And then the FHA loan, it's a government loan, and that requires 3.5% down.
3.5.
3.5. And that could be a gift. That could be a gift. So let's say you don't have any money saved up and you have a rich uncle or you have a rich parent that could give you the money.
Down payment. And I think that's something, instead of giving lavish weddings or birthdays or something, invest in the future of these people.
Right.
They are starting a family. They are starting their future together. As opposed to, I'm not saying don't do it if you can afford it, of course. But I know for a fact that if you truly love these people and you don't want them to get married and then move into an apartment, why don't you settle them? Say, okay, this wedding is going to cost $100,000, and the down payment for a $250,000 home is right about 17,000, maybe. That's
even up to that.
Yeah, I'm talking about with closing costs and everything. Yes. So you're looking at like 3.5 plus another 3.5 plus 4, which is like 7.5 thereabout. Of that loan amount, you can use that as a gift for them. And then the difference, you say, this is what we're going to manage. This is your total bill for your wedding, $100,000, but I'm securing this $20,000 for you to secure a home. And that way, instead of paying rent, you will be paying mortgage on there. Then $80,000, then plan with $80,000 that's left behind. And the third one is
the conventional loan. Conventional loan is a regular bank loan, and the down payment on that, the minimum down payment is 3%, depending on
3% only.
3% only, depending on your credit. And then so that you can do whatever you want. You can do 3%, you can do 4%, you can do 5%, you can do 20%, you can even do 50%. It's totally up to you as a buyer.
So for when we talk about, because one of the things people don't consider when buying a home is they look at the interest rate. For any of those 3, which is the lowest?
See, what I always tell buyer is, because I want to educate the buyer to understand what they're getting. So if I have a buyer that has a credit score that qualifies for, let's say, the conventional and FHA, so we look at both. So I'll give them an estimate that breaks down both, and then we can see. Sometimes now in the market as of today, the interest rate for FHA is pretty low. It's very low. Okay. But you also have to think about the mortgage insurance on FHA. It's slightly higher than a conventional loan. So you may get
I thought mortgage insurance should be based on the value of the property as
on
opposed
the
to.
loan amount.
Oh, it's on the loan
On the
amount.
loan is a percentage on the loan amount. But the mortgage insurance factor for FHA is higher than on the conventional loan based on your credit. So, for example, the FHA loan MI factor is 0.85% of the loan amount. And
MI factor is the
MI
mortgage interest.
mortgage insurance.
Insurance, sorry.
Mortgage insurance, sorry. The mortgage insurance
Yeah, we have to spell
factor-
it out because for some of us that have no
Okay,
idea.
I'm sorry. The mortgage insurance factor for FHA is 0.85% of the loan amount. And then on conventional loan is maybe 0.54, depending on
Which is
credit.
lower.
Yeah, depending on the credit. So some it's a little bit higher. So when you look at it, then you now look at your total monthly payment, and that's what I sell to the buyer.
Thank you. Because at the end of the day, if for a certain area, the interest rate, the APR could be maybe 4 point something percent, at which point you're looking at 2 point something percent in some areas or some properties. So, and I remember we talked about this at some point, that when people are buying, you're trying to look for somewhere where the interest rate is really low
The
for
property
the
tax.
property tax. Thank you. The property tax.
Yes.
And that's something to factor in when
Right.
you're buying a home.
Right.
Like some subdivisions, they have the property tax in that region at about 6% or 5 point something.
Maybe 4 or 3.
When I was talking about 2 years ago, there was this area in Cyprus that was about almost 6%.
And property tax.
Yeah. And then a neighborhood just almost across from it was 4.8. And the builders are similar, and they build right about the same kind of structure. So my friend opted to buy one on this side as opposed to this side, but because of the property
the tax rate.
over there. Because at the end of the day, you'll realize that you're paying certain percentage of that loan amount every year onto that property. And that makes your, at the end of the day, what you could be paying $20,000 for the value of the home, I'm just saying, for a year could turn out to be $45,000 just because of that.
Yeah.
And
then another thing, especially those that are looking to buy brand new homes, when they go to the builders, there's sales. Sales.
Of course,
people,
they lure
tell
them.
you, when you ask them what's the tax rate, they'll tell you, oh, the homestead tax rate. When at the time that you are purchasing that home, the bank is not going to qualify you based on homestead tax rate. They're going to qualify you based on the rate right now. So if the rate right now is 3%, then your qualification is going to be based on 3%, not the homestead rate. Because the homestead is something you have to apply for after you have moved into the
Closed.
home. Right. But right now, when you want to get the loan, the bank want to see what is it that you're qualified for. You qualify for this home based on this 3.5 tax rate.
So, I know that because builders always want you to use their lender. And so they will throw in some incentives that will attract you because you don't want to pay too much out of pocket.
Right.
And then they will attract you with those. But when you move in, then you realize that, oh my God.
And then, see, the thing is, I know everybody wants to get the best out there. Everybody wants to save. Everybody wants to make money. Everybody is in a business to make money.
Of course.
There's no way you will open a shop and say, well, I'm just going to give out free money. One, you don't know these people. The builder controls the mortgage company, controls the title company, controls everything. So now I'm not saying all of the builders are not giving them the incentive that they're supposed to. Some will actually give them. As a matter of fact, if I have a buyer that says the builder is offering this, I'll tell them, get the estimate, let me take a look. If what they're giving you is better than what I can give you, I'll tell you. Because I'd rather be truthful and upfront with you. Even if you don't close your loan with me, I know that in the future you will send somebody else to me because you know.
And that's what makes sense the most anyway.
Because you know that I will be honest
honesty is
with
there.
you. Right. So some of the builders lender, they will charge you this fee, that fee, and all of that, which adds up to whatever it is that the builder has given you. So it really doesn't make sense. So one, you have to do your homework. You have to know that you are actually getting that incentive. Some builders will say, well, if you don't use my lender, you're going to pay $250 for the house. But then if you use my lender, then you pay 245. Everything is already padded in. So you just have to know. And again, if whatever they're giving you is true and fair to you, then we'll let you know that, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and go with them. I mean, it doesn't hurt us because we want you as a buyer to take the best decision that's suitable for your family.
What do they call earnest money?
Okay, so earnest money, it's your upfront deposit to tell the seller that, hey, I'm interested in this house. I'm serious about this house. And then so once the earnest money is not given to the seller, it's deposited with a title company that is most of the time chosen by the seller. And then so once you deposit the earnest money, the seller takes that property off the market.
Oh, just to secure it for you.
Right.
So that's when you see them pending.
Pending. So once that earnest money is deposited and an option check is deposited, the option check is written to the seller. Okay? And that option is giving you an option to change your mind within, sometimes it's 7 days. If it's a cash transaction, most times they say 3 days. But 7 days, 10 days, to give you that option period to change your mind for any reason. So let's say you just go back home and your wife decides, no, I don't want
that property anymore.
Right? So you can just call your agent and say, hey, we changed our mind. So your earnest money will be refunded back to you, but your option check would not be refunded back. Option check is usually maybe $100, $150.
Oh, so that's not bad. Mm-hmm. However, like usually, is that a certain percentage for the earnest money, or there's a fixed cost?
It depends on the seller. Most of the time, usually like $1,000, but now most people are doing maybe 1% of the sales price. If you go to the builder, if you're using an outside lender, they'll charge you more, just because. And then maybe if they are not familiar with the outside lender, they'll charge you more as earnest money.
So, and is that refundable?
Now, if you go with the builder, it just depends on their policy. I don't know. Some of them will not refund your earnest money if you don't close. That's why if you know that you're going to get a brand new home, you need to make sure that your loan is properly secured before you go to the builder. Because if you go to the builder, you may not get your earnest money back. But if you are buying a resale property, there's something on the contract that is called the third-party financing addendum. So usually they will have they'll give you 15 to 21 days to secure a loan. So if you're not able to secure a loan within that period of time, then you have to let the seller know that, hey, I tried, I couldn't get a loan, I'm backing out of this contract. And then they will refund your earnest money.
So it's still refundable. While we're at that, well, there's so much more to talk about, because I still want to know about real estate investments, and I still, want people to understand what to do if they want to buy a home, and a whole lot. But, because of our time, we will take a quick break, and we will be right back. Please don't move. There's still much more to learn. I am learning, and I'm sure you're learning. There's something new. Discovered Home has been around for a minute now, not just a minute, I just said a minute, but I think about 20 years. So they understand what they're doing. They've helped so many realtors become brokers, as a matter of fact, and I have testimonies. I have friends that I've worked with them, and I currently, don't let me let the cat out of the bag yet, but don't move, we will be right back.
To all women and men around the world, we fly to inspire.
Welcome back to my community on Afrocentric Television, channel 15.8. As you know, this is the station that focuses on Africans in diaspora, especially here in the Houston area, and by extension, of course, United States. Still with us is Mrs. Yes, she is a Mrs. She may be looking so young to you guys, but she is a Mrs. to a very, very wonderful husband. Mrs. Tony I don't know if I should use Nike Tony Ojo or
Either
Tony
one.
Nike Ojo, because I just, whichever comes to me is the one I use, right? And we're back. So I hope you enjoyed the first segment. So we're back to give you more, so we all can learn in this real estate business together, either for home buying sake or for investment sake. So welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge with us in the first segment, and I know there's still more to come. However, this puzzles me because a lot of us prefer a certain region where we want our home to be situated. As such, if I feel like I want to stay in certain zip code or in certain neighborhood, would you advise that I go for it, given that my credit may not even be suitable for that location? What would you advise if I choose to opt for it anyway?
Okay, so the credit is actually not a determining factor. Whatever zip code you want to live in, um, as long as you can qualify for it, the bank will give you a loan. But what I usually advise people, and this is just my own personal opinion, is whatever zip code or whatever community you want to live in. Number one, you have to look at the school districts, especially if you
I'll
have
still come
kids.
into that, but let's just go ahead and talk about it.
If you have kids, you want to look at the community. You have to look at the schools that are zoned to that
that
area. You want to look at the safety of that area. Because I usually tell people, you can drive to the place maybe in the morning, see what that neighborhood looks like in the morning. At night, when everybody's back at home, see what it looks like. Make sure it's not a neighborhood where people are parked on the street with loud music and all of that. I mean, if that's what you want, that's
good.
But if that's not what you want, if you're gonna feel like, ooh, I don't think I can live here, so just go to that area at different times of the day to
weigh your
see,
options.
right, weigh your options. So, as long as your income qualifies you, because one thing is for you to say, well, I can pay that amount. The other thing is for your income to qualify you. So, as long as your income qualifies you for that zip code, then you would be able to get a loan or pay cash outright.
If I'm an international buyer, let's say I live in Ethiopia or Nigeria, Ghana, and I want to buy a home in the United States, what are the factors to consider before I can get a loan approval if I don't have the cash 100%?
Okay, so we do have loan programs for those that are not U.S. residents, and the down payment requirement is 30% of,
30%.
of the sales price, right? The 30% of the sales
Do they
price.
go through the same scrutiny as we do?
They do, but it's
more lenient?
Yeah, it's a little bit more lenient. But they want to see that whatever money that you're using to close, that money has been in your account. They want to see the money in your bank account. They want to see that your work, even though they're not going to require documentation from your employer, but they want to see that you have a job. They want to see that you have a means
Of
paying
sustaining.
sustaining that loan. And that is a 30-year mortgage. Of course, you can pay it off whenever you want. And the rates are pretty reasonable as well.
So if I want to invest, so to say, in, let's say, before I talk about the investment part of it, for tax purposes, I work from home for the most part. Of course, my company has an office, but they let me work from home for like 2 or 3 times a week. So my home is considered a part of my office, right? For tax purposes, can that be written off in tax? And if I'm living in an apartment, can I use that also?
That's actually a question I will leave for a CPA to answer.
A CPA to answer.
Right. I'm not really familiar with the how you can use part of your home as a deduction on your taxes, but I do know that whatever interest that you've paid on your loan, like if you have a loan, whatever interest you've paid on a loan, that you can write those off. But of course, you have to still consult your CPA or your tax preparer to advise on how much of a percentage you can take off.
Awesome. So considering buying a home and renting one, which do you think? Of course, I know the answer, but for some of us that are in doubt that says no, I prefer to rent because it's cheaper for me for maintenance purposes. I don't have to worry about nothing. I don't have to worry about cutting any grasses. I don't have to worry about changing light bulbs or plumbing work or even the air conditioner that goes out every once in a while. I don't have to worry about any of that. If I'm renting, I can just make a phone call and maintenance guys can just come out there and get it done. And I'm good. I don't have to stress myself. However, if I'm paying $1,500 in rent, and there's a mortgage that I can qualify for that will make me pay about $1,000 in rent. That's saving $500 right there. And it's not that electrical or anything goes off just like that. Some of these things have warranties on them that you can take advantage of. And also the money you save over time. In a year, if you're saving $500, that's roughly $6,000. If your AC goes out, anything goes out, if you can save that for real, you can still use part of that to do the maintenance work. And then your lawn, you can get a contract with a lawn mower every 2 weeks, and you'll be good. You don't have to worry about anything. However, what would you say about people that still prefer to rent as opposed to buying? What are they when you want to do that comparison? What are they missing out of?
Well, for me, when you rent, you're just making your landlord richer.
I agree.
If somebody is renting a home to you for $1,500, trust me, the mortgage is not $1,500. I mean, I have a home that my mortgage is maybe $700 and is rented out for $1,400, and the tenant has been living there for like 5 years. I've got homes that the tenant
$800 a month for 5 years.
I have homes
balling.
that tenants have actually paid off, living in there. So when you continue to live in somebody else's home, you're actually making that person richer. If you have a home of your own, let's say in the next 5 years you decide, okay, well, I don't want to live in that house anymore. I want to move to a bigger house, or I want to move out of state or whatever. That home, when you sell it, you're not going to walk away with zero. You're still going to walk away with equity in that house. I've seen people that bought a home and within 4 or 5 years they were able to make about
because they garner equity.
Right.
However, there are some times when the market drops though.
But it's going to pick back up.
But what if that time is the time I want to move?
Well, see, the thing is, one, you have to really understand the market to see, even if you want to move, instead of selling the home, we can advise you to hold on to that house, rent it out to somebody that wants to rent, or somebody that doesn't understand the concept behind buying a home. And then once the market comes back up, you can then decide and sell your home. I'll give you an example. We have a home. When we bought that home years ago, it was like $50,000. And then that home is 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, and 2-car garage. And then so during the crisis, the value of the home went down to maybe about 80. I mean, we bought it 50,
Yeah, at which point you could have been 100, 120.
Yeah, so that maybe it was about 120, and then it went down to 80. But right now, that home is worth about $180,000. So
it's free and more.
and then the house is paid for.
Oh, wow.
And then the tenant that's living in the house, she's been there now. Actually, the last tenant that left, she left because the rent went up to $1,000 a month. And then after she left,
for a 3-bedroom.
For a 3-bedroom.
Oh, must be a lucky tenant. For a 3-bedroom, $1,000 a month.
Right, she left. She said because it was too much, and then now the person that's living there is paying $1,400.
And the home is paid for.
And the home is paid for.
You're cashing in, ching ching.
So, and then the thing is, see, if you buy a house and 4 years later you've had equity of about $40,000, you have to think about this. Am I able to save $40,000 in 4 years? Because if you have a home, you put in an investment. Whatever you put in now is your investment. And then you're going to have some expenses. You can't, we can't rule that out.
Of course. So it's regardless, even if you're renting, you still have those expenses anyway. You still have some
expenses. But if you're paying $1,000 in a rental property, you need to buy your own house. Start somewhere. It doesn't have to be a big house. It doesn't have to be a mansion. Start somewhere so that you stop paying rent to somebody else.
So for investment properties, I know there are differences. If I'm living in there, and I know there are programs for first-time home buyers.
Right.
I don't know if we're going to be able to cover that. And if I'm also thinking of investing, and I know the loans are different. Let's say I have a home already, and I'm buying a second home as my investment property, or I am buying a second home as my primary home, then trying to use the initial one as my investment property. What can you advise?
So let's say you bought a home like 2-3 years ago. That home was like 100,000. Then you lived in that home. Now your family is bigger, or you want to go to a nicer environment, or you've gotten a better job. Now you can afford more. Then now you want to buy a home for, let's say, 250 or 300,000. Then you can move to that house, and you can use
the previous
this
one
as
as
an investment property. Then your down payment is going to be like 5% down. But let's say you buy a home now for 250,000, and then 2 years later you want to go into real estate investments, and you find another home for 100,000. The lender will require you to do a 20% down payment.
Wow. Why is that?
It's an investment property. You are making money now, so you have to
Pay more down.
Yeah, you pay more down, and the interest rate on investment properties are usually higher.
And people need to understand that too. That the more you pay down on a home, that comes back to you as an equity anyway.
Yeah, that's
right?
your equity, because if you keep money,
because people don't see it that way. Sometimes they look like, no, I don't want to put anything down. But they forget that is still your money. The property belongs to you.
It's your money, because when you sell that property, eventually you're still gonna get that money out
back
anyway.
And plus whatever it is you are paid on it over time.
Yeah, you're still gonna get it. I had a lady that she bought a house. It was a foreclosure she bought at that time, and 5 years later, when she wanted to sell that house to buy another house, she actually made double. She bought that house for $75,000, and then when she sold that house like 5 years later, she walked away with about $68,000 cash.
Wow.
68,000 cash. I'm not joking.
And that's a good question you posed to everybody earlier, saying, can you save $60,000 over the course of 5 years in the United States?
It's hard.
Because everything, I still tell people, no matter what it is, you're renting anyway. So why don't you put that rental money into a property instead?
You have to save. You have to work towards it. They say Rome is not built in a day. That's why I said initially that you have to have the will. If you have the will that, okay, well, I want to buy a house, it could be a year. You could put your stuff together, talk to somebody, talk to a professional, let them guide you. If your credit is not good, let's work on your credit. If you need to save money, let's work on that. If you're self-employed, you've been filing losses, and a lot of time, most people don't want to pay taxes. You cannot eat your cake and have it. If you have tax, if you are self-employed and you tell the government that, oh, I only made $1,000 in 1 year, there's no way you're going to be able to buy a house. So you have to declare your income that you've made, and then you can qualify for a home. So either way, you're still going to live in a place. So either you pay rent to a landlord, or you pay,
or you put it towards your own
equity.
So what is the process like from initiation to closing?
What do you mean? Like,
so if let's say for instance, I call you that I'm interested in home buying. From that point on to where you put my credit to get pre-approval, to processing the loan, to finding a home, to closing on the loan, and to moving in. What is the process like?
All right.
From end to end?
Okay, so like I said earlier, when you are interested, when you have the will, you make that phone call, and then we pull the credit, we look at your documentation, we verify your employment. Once everything looks good, then we issue a pre-approval letter.
How long between that
usually
time?
It takes about 48 to 72 hours.
Oh, that's pretty fast. Okay.
Right. And then also it depends on the employer. Some employer takes a while
to respond.
Get back to you. So we have to keep calling and calling and calling. And the reason we do that is just to make sure that there are no surprises. And once you've decided that you want to start this process, we want you to put on hold charges on credit cards. Okay? Put on hold charges on credit cards. Make sure you save money. Whatever money that you know you cannot document, don't put it in your bank account. The most common is the monthly contribution that we do among ourselves.
Ajo.
Right, that's very, very common.
Because they see all of a sudden you just get a lump sum coming to your account, boom.
So you cannot document that money. So you don't want to put that money in your bank account, especially when you are planning to buy a house. Okay. Now, if you get the money like 3 months before you put it in your bank account, that money has to be in your account for at least 60 days.
At least 60 days.
60 days. So once it's in your bank account for 60 days, then there's not going to be a problem. But you just get the money yesterday, you want to close tomorrow, it's not going to work. Okay. And then so once we issue the pre-approval letter, then you go out, you find a home that you want. And once you find a home, that's when we get the contract, we start the process. So to get your loan submitted, get the process, that takes maybe about 48 to 72 hours again. And then the loan is processed, then we order the appraisal. Then once everything comes back good, we clear conditions. Because usually once your loan is approved, the lender will issue a conditional loan approval. So then we'll go over those
conditions and clear.
And check with the buyer, are you able to clear all of these conditions? If they say, yes, I can, oh no, this is too much trouble. And then if they want to back out at that point, they have not lost any money because we haven't ordered appraisal at that time. Now, most places, when they go, they collect money from them to order appraisal. I typically don't do that. I want to make sure I get you a loan, know that we can clear the conditions, we can definitely close
on the loan.
We order appraisal before you start making the payment. Now, the appraisal payment is not made to us, it's made directly to the appraisal company, because once you've made that appraisal, it's not refundable.
So, and I know is it adjuster they call them, or those people that does they check check out your house to make sure the structure is good, everything is good.
Those are inspectors.
Inspectors.
Right, those are inspectors.
So at what time do you think is right to order inspection for the home?
So during your option period.
What is our option
period? The option period, remember earlier we talked about when they are ready to buy, they will deposit earnest money, they will deposit option check, and then they will give you 7 days or 10 days. So during those periods,
that period is when you want to make sure you want to check everything. And usually, how much does inspection cost?
Inspection maybe between $350 and $500, and so they will do the structural inspection. They will check if there's termite and all of that. So at that point, if you have repairs and then you think you can deal with whatever is needed, then you can go ahead.
It could be factored into the loan too, though, right?
No, it cannot be factored. Inspection is something you do completely outside of the loan. It doesn't have anything to do with the loan. Some people, they choose to buy.
No, I'm talking about for the value of the house. Let's say to the seller, and I tell the seller these are the things that are wrong with the house.
That's totally between
you and the seller. Okay,
yes.
So that could be something worked out between the seller and the buyer.
And the seller and the buyer,
okay.
Right. So the only thing that concerns the lender is the appraiser. Once the property appraises for whatever it is that you're buying or more, then we have a deal.
Okay. Don't stay with me for one more second. I need to pay my sponsors just because of the time. I still have one very strong one as to when one can start this property investment and have children be a part of it and who can be a part of loan, and whatever. So please stay with me. And you guys, I hope you're enjoying the show so far, because I am definitely learning from this. And don't worry, maybe next year you just call out the real estate mogul. Don't blame me. I'm gonna take advantage of this. If I were you, I would do the same, right? So stay with me. I will be right back. All right. Welcome back to my community on Afrocentric Television Channel 15.8. As you all know, this is the station that talks about what we Africans in diaspora are doing, of course, positively. This is our home city, Houston, Texas, and of course, by extension, we talk about the United States. With us still is Mrs. Nike Toyin Ojo, she's, I will call her a managing partner because the business is owned by her and her husband, of Discovered Homes. And I personally have learned so much. And believe me, if you see me in my mansion tomorrow, don't think she may be the one helping me. So I'm just telling you. But then I will make sure she leaves a contact with us. That way we can let y'all, give y'all access to her, because you are coming through us. And just remember that that's through us here at Afrocentric Television, because that's what we do, right? We try to educate ourselves and make Houston, and of course the United States, a better place for Africans to reside. So welcome back, Mrs. Ojo, and thank you for again sharing your wealth of knowledge in the real estate business. And Lent, you've been in the business for quite a while, 20 years.
Actually, 17 years.
17.
Right. My husband started the business. In May will be 20 years.
That's 20 years. You are talking about your own experience, 17.
My own experience, 17.
No, we combine the experience. Now, where did you see us talk about when you submit a resume as a company, a small company especially, you say we have a combined experience of. If your husband has been in it for 40 years and somebody, because you're bringing two different vibes into it, it's a fusion.
Right.
Come on, May, it's gonna be.
So between him and I will be 37 years, right?
Wow.
Right, 37.
See, that's a wealth of experience. You can't buy anywhere, especially here in the United States, and they do it. So, do you help people from overseas? Let's say they're looking into buying here. I know we talked about that earlier. We just talked about the conditions of getting home. Is it something that your Discovered Homes offer?
Right. So we do offer, if they're interested in buying a home, if they're outside of the country, they're interested in buying a home, we can definitely help them to look for homes. We do have quite a bit of landlords in Nigeria that have homes here and have tenants.
Wow.
And they get their rent every month paid into their bank account.
Their local account here. Fantastic. So the one that interests me as a family-oriented person, I even if I didn't start early, I didn't have to use that against my children. They can start early. How early do you think one can start involving the family or a child into real estate?
Again, I'll use my personal experience and this is my personal opinion. Everybody is different. I would say from a tender age, one, because we have to build these children. And a lot of these kids, they act by whatever it is that they see on the television or what they see out there. But as a parent, we have a responsibility to nurture these kids and to show them the right way in this life. I would say, like for us, we started at 17. When our oldest child was 17, that was when I started building credit for him, because he doesn't even know anything about credit. So I started building credit for him.
And that's something we need to come back to talk about, right? How to get that credit rolling now. Financial literacy. We discussed this before.
Right.
Yeah.
So we started with him at 17, and then at 20. Well, he has always wanted to work, so he started working, even though we asked him to come work for Discover Homes, but no. Yeah,
but these children, if you notice one thing, their jobs lately, they pay them very well. A child that was getting a stipend before now starts making $3,000, $5,000, $7,000 cash back, every month. They can either go buy expensive vehicles, which is usually what they do, get a high-end apartment or whatever. But they can actually start early. This is that time. They don't even, if they don't feel like they want to live in there, they don't have to live there.
They don't have to. If they buy and they want to do it as investment, they have the money saved up.
Right.
The thing is teaching them early about saving. That's really, really the most important thing. Teaching these kids about saving, because most of them, the first check they make, they spend that money just anyhow. But teaching them early, this is the okay. So you get $3,000 or you get $1,000 a month. I need you to spare this money, to separate this money. This goes to your savings, this goes to checking, this goes to emergency funds. And then whatever you have, and make sure you follow up with them. How much money are you putting aside? And then so when
be in their business.
Be in their business. Yes, I was in my kids' business. I want to know. Give me your login. I mean, some may not. It just depends on. And then as a parent, you have to develop that relationship with them as well.
And
If
that's
you
the
don't
key
have the
factor.
relationship, it's gonna be like if I call my child and I say, okay, I need the password to your account, he's gonna give it to me because
He's not gonna say why, mom.
he's not gonna, because he knows that I'm not gonna do anything to his money. You know what I mean? So one, we have to build a good relationship with our kids and let them know that, look, whatever it is that I'm doing it for your own good. You know. And then so at 17, we start building credit for them. Let them know the difference between the credit card and the debit card.
How can one build credit for them?
So what I did was to add him to my credit card. And then after about 6 months of him being on my credit, then I applied for a credit card with me and him on the application.
Okay, so that's that step. Okay.
So when we applied, and then make sure, even though you apply for that card, make sure you don't overuse the card. So what I did was just to probably use that card for gas or something minor, and I make sure I pay it off at the end of every month. I didn't give him the card because I told him, hey, this card, you're not going to see it. I mean, you're not going to touch it. And then even at a point, he understands that he cannot just use credit card anyhow. Because credit card is a privilege. You can't just spend it. It's not your money.
Yeah, that's people don't understand that.
Right.
That's a loan they're giving to you upfront for you to use for emergencies.
So
if it ever comes.
He understands that he cannot use it.
Some of us abused that, we thought because we didn't have anyone to teach us or guide us, in the right way to go. We abused it. We thought we'll buy stuff and we'll send to Nigeria as gift for people, and at the end of the day we start paying the minimum balance on it, and sometimes we pay more. And at the end, you mess it all up, and then try to rebuild it.
Right, it takes time.
It takes a lot of time. So, and like you said, it's always good to start with them at a very tender age.
Right.
You said you started with yours at 17.
I mean, we've been talking about it at home. At home, we've been talking about saving. I remember when they were so young, Christmas time. When everybody will buy Xbox this, Xbox that. My thing then was, why would I still continue to make these other people richer? So whatever money that we have, I'll tell them, give me your money. Okay, so this money, we're going to put it in your house. So I had that
into their mind. They're like, when sooner or later you'll be a homeowner,
so
and you need to have money saved up.
Money take this, we're going to use this for my house, and then we'll drive them, my husband and I will drive them to the properties that we have and say, you know what, this is yours. So they have
in their head,
even though they don't physically own the home, but we told them, this is yours and this is yours and this is yours. And then so when it was time for them to buy, it wasn't a surprise to them because they were already prepared for such a task.
Love that. I love that. So at 17, and at what age did they start to buy? Because there has to be some income coming in for them and to them as well.
They have to have income. They have to have qualifying income. So if the kids want to start work, maybe at 17 or 18, let them work if they want to. But then by the time they are ready to buy, the income has to be a qualifying income.
Because we Africans, we always love for our children to have the best of everything, which is nothing wrong with that, right? However, we need them to concentrate. Education is priorities, this is that. But at the end of the day, the system in the United States would not teach you how to become an entrepreneur. They will teach you how to become a slave to your employer. And that's usually what the system teaches. Except, of course, you are able to pull yourself out that I don't want to be a slave to this 9 to 5, and I want to be able to, because I let people now buy homes and they can use it for the likes of Airbnb.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yep.
Where you can have one room go out for about $50, and if you have 3 of them out there, that's $150 every day if it is filled every day.
Every day.
And that's a lot more money that
Some
you can.
Some will even lease it for 6 months. Airbnb 6 months. I mean, I've had someone that went out to another city to work, and instead of getting an apartment, just rented Airbnb and stayed there for 6 months.
I know I have friends that does that in Nigeria. When they go, they feel more comfortable in a homely environment. I still prefer the hotel. Maybe when I go with my family, I may have to opt for that, since I don't have a house in Nigeria just yet. So if my child starts working, and even before that, I can, of course, which is what I've done, based on we talked about it, and I've done it, and I know her credit now. My first child, however, is her credit now is nearly 700.
Awesome.
Yeah, I did that. Her credit is now 700, and I let her know. We talk about things. Say, hey. So sooner or later, I want you to own your own home. Forget the situation with your dad or mom right now. Just focus on you. If you have this settled, once you have income coming in, you can then buy, and even you can still be staying with us if you want. You can stay with us while your investment property keep yielding.
Right.
And I love the fact that they are not crazy spenders. They don't spend on frivolities.
It's because of whatever it is that you may not know it. See, these kids, we are their true examples. They watch us. They see whatever it is that we do, and based on what you do is what your kids are going to act upon.
And then we want them to be very successful.
Yeah,
but then you're not living that life for them to model after.
Right. So they watch us. They see what you do, even though they don't say it or they you don't know. But these kids, they do watch us.
So at what age can a child buy a house?
You can buy from 21. As
21.
long as you have. So what the lender will look at is 2 years of employment history.
Okay, 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years of employment history. If they were in school and now they are graduated and they are working, so we can actually use the transcript from school in lieu of the 2 years, and they will still get a loan.
Fantastic. I didn't know that. Okay, so I guess we are on to something. I would say so. Finally, do you work with any real estate company out of Africa, maybe Nigeria or other part?
No.
That maybe sometimes people here want to build or they want to buy in foreign in their home country. Let's say I'm from Tanzania and I want to buy a home in Tanzania. Are there real estate firms that you are affiliated with or work with, not even by affiliation, but work with to say, okay, these people, we're going to help them from here, then you take it on from there. So that way you can bridge the gap for trust's sake. Because a lot of people have felt victim, you know?
At this time, no, and that's the thing, because my husband and I are really, really, really concerned about integrity out there. And we don't want to recommend someone to people that we don't know, or somebody that we don't know what their business module is, or what they can or they cannot do. So right now we do not.
Makes sense. For integrity's sake.
Yeah, we do not.
We can't compromise that. I know I said lastly earlier, but something popped in my head, which is about what we can close with. Education. Does Discovered Home offer classes for first-time home buyers or for investment buyers, or maybe seminars or things like that? Does Discovered Home offer things like that?
Okay, so something that we started last year that my husband is really, really passionate about is investment. He wants everybody around him to have an investment property. Everybody, you come in contact with him. Once you start talking about investment property, my husband is really excited.
Yeah,
so that's one thing that. So last year he started these investment classes that he offers once a month. But because we were moving to the new location, so we kind of put a hold on that. So we are going to start very soon. We're also planning on having first-time home buyer education classes. We're going to be having that also. And something that we're also working on is to have a class for high school or college students.
Fantastic.
How to be prepared if they want to go into real estate, or whatever they want to do about finances and everything. So we want to see if we can capture them when they're young, so they don't make mistakes that we, the parents, have made in the past. Because we truly believe in these children. We truly believe in their development. We believe that if we capture them young, one, there will be a benefit to themselves, to their family, and to the community at large.
And the beauty of real estate, guys, is you can be in any field. It does not matter. You don't have to be a realtor to be a real estate investor. You could invest in townhomes, condos, single family units or multi-family units, and depending on whatever you need. Discovered Homes is here for you. So we're going to be sharing that information with you guys, and I just want to say a huge thank you to you
for having me.
and Discovered Homes family for blessing us with your wealth of knowledge on the in this real estate business. And of course, when the chips are down, we know who to call on to.
So
we say
much.
thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for having me.
Yes, ma'am. So guys, you heard it all. If you have more questions, don't ask me. I'm not the expert here. Remember, I asked her a question about taxes and whatnot, and she quickly deferred me to a CPA. So yes, you too should do that. If you have tax questions, talk to your CPA, your accountant, and let them put you through with whatever it is you need to know about that. However, when it comes to real estate, and you can't imagine having a combined experience of nearly 37 years is nothing you can joke with. And their office is a one-stop shop, from when you have that willpower to buy to when you want to close. They have everything in between to originate the loan, to get you pre-approved, to even help you. Even if you have your own realtor, they will still work with you, and that's the beauty of it. They don't discriminate, of course. They are out there. If you're African, non-African, Caucasian, non-Caucasian, now name all the races, Spanish, it doesn't matter, because I've been to their office. They have different races working with them, and they have realtors from all over also. So you are in good hands. If you want to buy a home here in the Houston area, in Texas area, I would say, reach out to them. They are more than happy and willing to assist you in any and everything you want to do. Today's segment is totally about real estate and real estate home buying and real estate investment. Again, it's home buying and real estate investment. Real estate does not mean a single family unit. It could be, again, like I said, condos, townhomes, anything, name it. Even if you want to buy commercial properties, they will be there to assist you. If you have any questions, please reach out to them. I think it's Nike@discoveredhomes.com, and they have Discovered Homes at sbcglobal.net. Also, those are the emails that I know by heart, because you can tell I've been working with her for a minute now, and they've been very, very supportive of everything. I would say everything Afrocentric does, and so we are more than happy to have them on the show today. Until next time, please, if you have questions regarding what we do on my community or on Afrocentric television in general, please send us an email on info@afrocentrictv.com. And Afrocentric is with a K at the end, not a C. On social media, we have our YouTube handle as Afrocentric Television or Afrocentric TV, both works. And on Facebook, we have Afrocentric TV 15.8. On Twitter, Afrocentric TV, and on Instagram, of course, Afrocentric TV. Don't forget to leave your comments. We enjoy feedbacks. If you think it's something we can do better to improve ourselves, please send it across. We'll be more than happy to attend to it. And our website is www.afrocentrictv.com. Until next time, I remain your host, Kola Akinmuyiwa. Stay out of trouble and be blessed.